What's going on, NBA fanatics? This is your friendly neighborhood Memphis Grizzly, home of Memphis X, and I talk hoops. Today, we're going to be talking about Desmond Bane and what he could be in the future for the Memphis Grizzlies. But first, every hero needs their theme music.
Grizz gang, go hard. Baddest in the game, we be on one. I talk hoops, so secure. All up on the court, but we gon' score. Memphis bringing heat straight from Tennessee. Demo spiking, let's go.
So, this offseason has been rather uneventful for the Memphis Grizzlies, other than one small thing, and that was the little rumor that the Grizzlies were interested in trading for Kevin Durant. Now, what was funny and key about this rumor was that the one thing that was pointed out was the Grizzlies were uninterested in trading Desmond Bane or Jaren Jackson. Now, it seems that among most of the NBA media, this was a terrible notion. It seemed like most people thought that including Desmond Bane or not including Desmond Bane in the Kevin Durant talks was a little short-sighted for the Grizzlies. And it made me think of something that was happening almost, I guess, little over 8 years ago in the offseason of 2014, where a young, up-and-coming team had a nice, young shooting guard. They had just made the playoffs. They had just won 50 games for the first time. And they had an opportunity to trade one of their core pieces for a more established young all-star player. And that was the Golden State Warriors had a chance to trade Klay Thompson for Kevin Love. Now, I remember this like it was yesterday. I remember all the hubbub that was going around because, the Splash Brothers were just getting started, and Kevin Love was the NBA media's darling. He was that guy that was putting up big numbers, albeit on a losing team. But I was never a fan of Kevin Love. I was never a big Kevin Love guy. So I always was of the mind that I would rather keep Klay Thompson and not give him up. But let's listen to what the sentiment or how this trade was portrayed back then in 2014.
The Golden State Warriors calling a possible blockbuster trade involving Klay Thompson and David Lee to Minnesota. Quote, right now, unlikely. Sources told ESPN the Warriors are packaging Thompson and Lee with a future first-round pick and a proposed deal for the T-Wolves' Kevin Love and shooting guard Kevin Martin. And Brian Windhorst back with us now. Brian, what more can you tell us about the possibility of all of this actually going down?
Well, you got to remember, in the Warriors organization, there's four voices who have a say at the top. Owner Joe Lacob, consultant Jerry West, general manager Bob Myers, and head coach Steve Kerr, who was a former general manager in the past. And not all of them agree that Klay Thompson should be involved in this trade package for Kevin Love. And as soon as it came out that the Warriors even were putting him in the trade package, they started to get a flurry of other calls from teams that were saying, hey, you're trading Klay Thompson, let us make an offer, including the Los Angeles Lakers. I, however, think this is somewhat posturing. The Warriors are well aware there's no way they can make a trade for Kevin Love unless it involves parting with Klay Thompson. That's who the Wolves want, and even if it's a three-way scenario, they're going to probably have to give it up. So that's what it's going to come down to. And from the Wolves' perspective, they've got to make some decisions too, and I'm sure they're getting other offers more than just from the Warriors.
So you have to remember that this was before the dynasty was ever established. This was before Steve Kerr ever coached a game for the Warriors. As you can hear, he was still a consultant in the front office, that kind of thing. So none of this that you've seen in the last 8 years from the Warriors could have even been predicted at that time. Nobody had this happening. 4 championships in 8 years and only severe injuries keeping them from having 5, maybe 6, maybe 7 championships in the last 8 years. Nobody predicted that. Nobody saw it coming. But you got to remember on where the Warriors were. The Warriors had just won 51 games that season. They had lost in 7 in the first round of the playoffs to the Lob City Clippers. Klay Thompson was 23. Steph Curry was 25. Draymond Green was 23. Andre Iguodala was 30. And Harrison Barnes was 21. This was their core team. Nobody was predicting them to make some crazy run. Now, you can compare that to the young Grizzlies, where they have Desmond Bane, 23, Ja Morant, 23. Desmond Bane, 24, Ja Morant, 23. Jaren Jackson, about to be 23. Dylan Brooks, 26. Steven Adams, about to be 29. And Zaire Williams, about to be 22. Yes, this is a core, a team that people don't see it now with what the Grizzlies are going to do. But let's compare Desmond Bane and Klay Thompson at 23 and why you have to be patient as an NBA organization. Klay Thompson and Desmond Bane, of course, compare very favorably. But as you can see, Klay Thompson was playing 35 minutes a game. Desmond Bane was playing 29.8. So the minutes aren't quite adding up. Desmond Bane was a better overall shooter, shot better from 3, shot way better from the 3-point line, grabbed more rebounds, more assists, more steals, and fewer turnovers. If we just look at it, Desmond Bane at 23 was a considerably better player than Klay Thompson. True shooting percentage, 592 to 555. Box plus minus, Desmond Bane 2.7, Klay Thompson 0.8. These are things that when you look at it, even the PER, Desmond Bane 17.6, Klay Thompson 14.3. Overall, at the same age, Desmond Bane was a better player than Klay Thompson. They play about the same roles on their respective teams, and they look to get better in the future. Now, like I said, nobody saw the Warriors coming at this time. And even though the Grizzlies won 56 games last year with a relatively young team, the general sentiment is that the Grizzlies are going to take a step back this year because, quote unquote, they didn't do anything this offseason. But did they really need to do anything this offseason? Maybe their core is already in place to make a run. It's like I said on the last video. I am thinking that the Grizzlies front office is betting that their core is already in place. So, to conclude, Desmond Bane should not be on the trading block for a 34-year-old, no matter how good he is. It is just not it's not worth it to risk upsetting the apple cart when the Grizzlies, for all intents and purposes, have something special already in place. It is very rare that the second best team with one of the lowest payrolls in the league is winning 56 games in the NBA. It is unprecedented in the NBA for teams to be that young and that good. We saw the leap from Ja Morant. We saw Desmond Bane take a bump. Now, the Grizzlies have a slew of young players, and at least one of them is going to be better than expected. So let me know what you think about this video. Should the Grizzlies have traded Desmond Bane for Kevin Durant? Or do you agree with me that the Grizzlies core is not worth dismantling? Or it is not worth dismantling for any player at this time because they might already have what it takes to walk the Warriors' path. Make sure you like this video. Hit that bell for notification after you subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow on the next video.